Hey, what is going on guys? Jolts here, and today we're going to be covering my OP8 Gaige build, and this build consists of everything from mobbing to raid bossing to regular bossing, running the peak and all that stuff in one save. So it will be in PC format in the description if you want to download it yourself. If you want to use it on any other system, you have to convert the save first, and I will link tutorials down there for you guys too. So let's go over what you're going to get with the save. Okay, so let's go over all the gear. First off, I do want to mention that I do not have the PC community patch on, so everything's going to be default. I do want to mention that most of my setups involve having slag, damage, healing, and a second wind weapon. It's just the go-to for any kind of mobbing in case anything happens, so you're ready for, you know, anything. So first off, we have the Slagga. This is going to be for slagging, really good weapon for Gaige. Redundant Fibber. Now we don't use the dynamic or win-win because we're not using the B for mobbing. So you want to go for max DPS, which is redundant, which is going to double your bullets. So this is going to be your go-to weapon for damage. The Hail, some people use the Kitten, but the Hail's a little bit better because it has bonus critical hit, and also it has splash damage, so if you hit something like a Nomad Shield, you can actually hit him through a shield and kill him. And the Norfleet, because hands down the best launcher in the game. I recommend it. Then we have the Black Hole. Now the Black Hole has all pangolin parts, so you're going to be really tanky. And the reason we use this shield for Gaige is because of its special effect. So when the shield is broken, it's going to create a singularity on your person and pull the enemies towards you, which means you can switch over to healing and grab your health or whatever. It basically stunts the enemies really bad. And combining that with her blood-soaked shield skill will allow you to get your shield back instantly and do that over again and again and again. It's really good. Chain Lightning, this is going to be for healing, but for the most part, I like to have the magic missile on. It is a low level too because sometimes it flies around and actually hits you. And you don't want that to happen and down you. Chaotic Neutral Necromancer, this is going to increase your mag and rate of fire, and also give you bonuses to Made of Sterner Stuff and Wires Don't Talk, which is pretty good if you're doing like shock damage or whatever. And this combined with the better half, her skill, will basically increase your DPS quite a bit because your rate of fire is going to go way up. And we have all the Bones of the Ancients because it increases your damage quite a bit. Then we have the Deepa. This is going to be pretty much only for enemies that have bullet deflection, you know, Dukino's mom, the binary boss, or the Batasaurus, you know, stuff like that. Logan's Gun, this is going to be for regenning rockets if you put on the Sham. And we have a Vladoff grip because you want to go for a max rate of fire so you can get your rockets back faster. Then we have the conference calls of all the elements. This is going to be for your bigger bosses, you know, like Cromarax or Terramorphous. The corrosive one is for like flying enemies, surveyors, buzzards, stuff like that. And we do have the Norfleets of all the elements. This is going to be for your second winds. Then the striker, this is for stacking Anarchy. We'll get to that in a minute. Let's just go ahead and come back to that. The Bad Touch, this is a good alternative to the Hail. You can use this for healing too. Then we have the Gemstone Ravager. This is going to be for mobbing. You know, you can put this on if you don't want to worry about like thinking about corrosive for robots and fire for flesh or whatever. This will actually take care of everything. Then we have the Good Touch. This is going to be for healing in case you run out of like assault rifle ammo. It's a good secondary. Then we have the Heartbreaker. This is going to be for healing and also DPS. Pretty good. Then the Grog. I don't use this too often on Gaige, but if you go ahead and put on like a Chain Lightning or Stormfront, if you're running through an area, you can go ahead and spam those and stay alive. The Pimpernel, this is a very good weapon for Gaige close range. Like if you stand right in front of an enemy and shoot them, you can do massive DPS. Then we have more Fibbers of all the elements. And of course the Hail. If you want to, you know, do robots, you can do the corrosive one. The Twister, now, like I said before, some of these weapons are just for like random mobbing. You could just put this on if you don't want to use, you know, the Fibber or whatever else. This weapon is really good for Gaige too. Trespasser, this is going to be for taking on the Chief during the Veracitus fight. The Hive, now this weapon's really good because regardless of your accuracy when you shoot it, it's going to home on enemies. So if you get a drunk effect with the Grog nozzle and then shoot this, you can shoot 5 pellets and it's just pretty much devastating. Lady Fist, this is going to be for, you know, killing Dexy if you want to hit his critical hit points. Or if you're doing the Snowman because, you know, you have to save and quit to farm the chest over there in the DLC. So, you know, you're not going to have Anarchy, so putting this on with the B is a pretty good idea for the Snowman. Pimpernels of all the elements, like I said for mobbing, you can just get close range and shoot them and they're pretty much dead. And Final Hail. And a few more bones here. This is only if I'm using the Deepa fighting Dukino's mom or the Batasaurus. Deputy Badge, this is going to be for the Heartbreaker or the Twister or any of those kind of weapons. And also this is going to be used for stacking. I'll show you that in a little bit. Legendary Mechro, now I only use this for cooldown in case I need Death Trap for a distraction. Legendary Anarchist, now this is going to increase your DPS if you're using weapons with low magazine. So if I'm using something like the Fibber or something, I wouldn't use this. I would use the Chaotic Neutral. But if I'm using something like the Norfleet or the Twister or something like that, I'd put this on. The Slayer of Terra, now this is only if I'm going for 600 stacks of Anarchy, and I pretty much only use it with the hive. The crossfire, now this is good for slagging. It is a low level too, because if it bounces out and hits you, it won't down you. This is only for like raid bossing like Terramorphous or Chromorax or someone like that. The longbow quasar, now this is for the Hyperius fight for grouping up the bots. But you can use it for healing too. Chain lightning, this is for if you put the grog on and you want to heal. The blockade, now this is the tankiest shield in the game for Gaige. It's pretty good for survival. The sham, now this is for absorbing rockets with the Logan's gun. Pretty much only if you need rockets for something like the Norfleet or something like that. The bee, pretty much I only use this for bossing, but you can use it for whatever. Now we have a turtle shield. Now this is going to drop your health extremely low. And there's a thing in this game called health gating. So as long as you're above half health, you can see that my health is 4,400, it's really low. As long as you're above half health, you will basically not be one-shotted by any enemy. Your health is going to stop at a little sliver. So with this kind of low health, you can actually shoot one bullet with any healing weapon, and it's going to bring you back to full health. So you can basically use this to kind of exploit the health gating and survive like really tough boss fights like Veracitus. And that's pretty much all the gear I use for Gaige. You might notice I have 38 out of 39. That is so we have one spot we can take our grenade off and do grenade jumps if we want to. I do have some more stuff in the bank here. This stuff is kind of optional in case you want to do a different build. But yeah, let's go ahead and cover that. So first off, we have the Seeker. Now this weapon is not that great on Gaige, but it does have a homing ability, so it's kind of nice because you can shoot it at an enemy and it will kind of home on them, which means you don't have to, you know, try too hard with your high stacks of Anarchy. Then we have the Leadstorm. This is good for Saturn or the Batasaurus in case you want to use that for DPS. Then we have the Sawbar. Now this weapon is really good on Gaige, combined with Anarchy and the Bee. You can use this for like bigger bosses like Terramorphous or someone like that. And then people think this is a joke, but the Wanderlust is actually not too bad on Gaige with high stacks of Anarchy, because these weapons do have homing too. So when you shoot these, it's going to home out your target, and you can do a pretty decent amount of damage. Then we have a Bada Boom for rocket jumping. It is a low level, so you can go ahead and rocket jump with that. Then we have the Blockhead. Now this is good for DPS. It is a close range weapon. And the thing about the Blockhead is it has a unique pattern with the pellets, so the pellets are really tight. So even with like high stacks of Anarchy, you can still hit all the pellets. Then we have an Orphan Maker. Now this is actually the best weapon for stacking Anarchy, but the thing is it costs 2 ammo per shot, so it's kind of inefficient. It is level 30, so you won't really take much damage when you shoot it with the cursed effect. But for the most part, I don't really use it. Dynamic Fibber. Now this is for Pete if you're using the Bee. This is going to be the best way to dish out your damage, because it is a really good bee delivery system. A Sandhawk, this is good for if you don't have any stacks of Anarchy and you want to burn through an area. To slap on the bee and you're pretty much good to go. Now we have the Opportunity. This is for if you're using the patch, this will actually be the speed relic. Then we have the Legendary Catalyst. This is for shock Gaige. I don't really use it much because you're better off matching the elemental weakness of your enemies, like Flesh for fire and corrosive for robots. But if you just want to focus on only using shock, you can use this. Then we have the Roboteer class mod. Now this is for if you want to do like a death trap build. Combine this with the Hydatera, you can actually do some pretty decent DPS with Death Trap. Longbow Stormfront, this is for basically healing. I don't really use it very often, but it's pretty good. Longbow Slag Transfusion, this is going to be for healing and also applying slag. Evolution, this is going to be for if you're doing the Dragon's Fight, you can apply this to Death Trap if you spec into Sharing is Caring. Antagonist, this is an overall like really good shield for anybody. It has a good chance to deflect bullets, and it can apply slag, and it's pretty good for survival. And like I said before, the Hydatera, this is for Death Trap. I don't use it ever for myself. Okay, so let's go over the spec. It's pretty straightforward. You're just focusing on DPS for yourself and not as much for Death Trap. So first off, we have the action skill for Death Trap. This is basically only for a distraction, in case you need to get away or heal or something like that. Close enough. Now this skill is really good for Gaige. So any bullets that miss enemies will basically have a chance to bounce off the surface and hit them. The better half, now this is going to increase your rate of fire for the second half of your magazine. Unstoppable Force, this is good for movement speed and getting around for your mobbing. And 1 point in Made of Sterner Stuff. Now if you didn't know, there's actually a secret ability with this skill. Putting 1 point into it will actually give you a 50% damage reduction on fire damage over times. Why? I don't know. It's just a thing. So you can put more points in there, but after that it gets kind of additive, so just 1 point though is going to give you a 50% damage reduction on fire damage over time, and also some more damage reduction on you and Death Trap. More pep, now this is for applying slag a little bit easier. Myelin, this is going to be for increasing your shield capacity and also shock resistance. Evil Enchantress, now this is going to be for a little more DPS on your damage over time. All these skills are pretty bad for the most part. Like I said, we're not focusing on Death Trap. this is kind of spammy and it's not going to really save you that often. So I just put the points there in case you want to sap health with your damage over time on enemies. So like if they have a damage over time, you can swap to a Grog or a Hail and be able to heal easier. Wires don't talk. Now this is going to be for increasing your shock damage. And like I said before, you're better off focusing on fire on flesh and corrosive on robots. But if you have like a mix of enemies and put on shock, this is going to help increase your damage. Interspersed Outburst. Now, the longer you don't shoot an enemy, you're going to stack it and have a better chance to slag an enemy from any weapon, which is really good. And that will make mobbing a little bit faster. Smaller, lighter, faster. This is going to increase your reload speed and also decrease your magazine size by a little bit. Now we have Anarchy. Now this is Gaige's biggest skill. Pretty much all builds use this skill, which is going to increase your damage per stack, but lower your accuracy per stack. And to get a stack, you're going to have to kill an enemy or shoot an enemy and reload. And the max stacks you can have without the Slayer of Terra is going to be 400 if you spec into this skill too. So with 400 stacks, you're going to have 700% damage bonus, but negative 700% accuracy. And like I said before, with close enough, your bullets that miss are going to ricochet back at targets. So overall, this is going to be a really beneficial skill for your build. Blood-soaked shields. Now, each time you get a kill, your shield's going to be full again. And combining that with like the bee is pretty devastating, and also with the black hole, you can also spam your singularities quite often, which is really good for survival. You will lose a little bit of health, but for the most part you get to switch to healing and you're pretty much good to go. Typecast Iconoclast. Now this is going to be for getting stacks of Anarchy faster. So each time you get a stack, you have a 24% chance to get an extra stack. And that's going to be good for stacking your Anarchy faster. Discord, so if you prematurely reload, you're going to get extra rate of fire and accuracy and health regen. Rational Anarchist, so the first set of stacks you get is going to bring you up to 25, 0 to 25, so it's going to be good for stacking faster. Then we have the Nth Degree. Now this is a really good skill. Every 5th bullet's going to ricochet back at an enemy. It's kind of like close enough in a way. It's also pretty broken if you shoot it at the bunker or the binary boss where hitboxes overlap. It's kind of like Boar in a way also. So this skill is going to increase your DPS, which is really good. And yeah, that's pretty much the build. Okay, so back to stacking Anarchy. Now, some people like to mob and like slowly build up their stacks and get their DPS, but I find that really annoying and it takes forever basically to stack normally. So I do have a set of stacking gear, which is going to be your Striker, the Legendary Anarchist, Deputy Badge, and if you want to, you can also turn on bar for extra reload if you have any bar for reload speed. Right there, 33.3, not bad. So, if you shoot any damageable object, that could be a barrel, these crates right here, which we're going to use here, enemies, whatever, you get a stack of Anarchy for reloading. So the Striker has a mag of 2, but because of this skill right here, it's going to lower your magazine a little bit, bringing it to 1. And since we're emptying our mag and reloading, we're getting a stack of Anarchy. And it also has a TDR grip and reload prefix, so it's going to be really fast reload. And because of the Legendary Anarchist, we have a better chance to get a stack per shot, thanks to this. And yeah, check this out. You can see my stacks going up pretty fast, and it's a really quick way to get max stacks. And also, we come over here to Iridium Blights because it's pretty close to the vendor, so you can just go ahead and buy more shotgun ammo when you need it. Okay, so let's go ahead and show off the build. Now, I'm going to focus on this area because it has a good mix of enemies. You have Skags, robots, and a boss, which is going to be Saturn. So go ahead and slag him up, which you really don't need to do for these kind of enemies. And shoot the floor. And you can see pretty much everything's dead right there. Pretty easy. And like I said, you don't need the bee with your mobbing. Like, you're already doing really good damage. You can also use Death Trap if you want to distract your enemies. In case you need to heal. Just take damage here. Okay, Black Hole, go. You can see there, it brings all the enemies towards you, so you can basically switch to healing and take them out. Alright, so now we have robots. Let's go ahead and switch out to some other stuff here. Let's do, I don't know, Good Touch. That sounds pretty fun. Let's do Pimpernel. That sounds okay. And, of course, Norfleet, Corrosive Bone. There we go. Alright, let's go. So the Pimpernel, check this out. Yeah. Close range, it's pretty devastating. Not bad, not bad. Actually, a few more enemies here. Even without slag, this Pimpernel is pretty good. Well, he got slag there because of the, that one skill. What's it called? Interspersed Outburst. Now, Saturn's a boss, so what I would do here is switch to something that's a little more damaging. That could involve putting on the bee and using the fibber, or my favorite's actually the hive. So check this out. It's actually pretty cool. So this has a low mag. So let's go ahead and do the legendary Anarchist. And we'll go ahead and put on the grog. Alright. So we gotta force a drunk effect with the grog. So let's go ahead and kill this guy. Alright, dead. And what you want to do is open and close your inventory until you see your screen sway. There we go, it's moving. And so what we do now is switch to the Norfleet, or not Norfleet, the Hive, and shoot it off. And you can see the damage here is actually going to be pretty insane. There you have it. Bye, Saturn. Nice knowing you, buddy. Well, he didn't quite die, but you can see there, that's pretty good. Not bad. So, to finish him off, let's go ahead and do... he is a big boss, so we'll do the conference call. You can also use Anarchy, or not Anarchy, Discord too, for more accuracy and rate of fire. And there you have it. So there you have it, guys. If you want to try the build for yourself, like I said before, it will be in the description. And yeah, have fun with it. Anyways, if you enjoyed the video, please be sure to leave a like, because that'd be epic. And I will see you guys later. Peace out.